2022, $91,863.96. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
That's Jack.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Brian has the payroll warrant.
All right, 3 payroll warrants because you've been out for 3 weeks. First one is dated October 21, 2022. That is $17,409.60. Again, that was all related to just payroll. Next one is October 28, 2022. This one's in the amount of $29,483.79. This one includes the agency checks that pop up on about every other one. Next one is November 4th, the amount of $20,522.77. I'd make a motion that we approve all 3 as indicated.
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I have a finance question. Just looked over these reports, the revenue reports. We had a VLCT claim revenue. Claim revenue. We usually budget 0 because you don't plan on making an insurance claim. But we had $11,300 come through the door. What did we?
I think that was the salt delivery truck from last winter. And we had to pay for it, and then we submitted a claim. Somebody hit one of the trusses, remember?
Oh, and your truck, their insurance can cover it? Funny story about that flagpole that won't go away, that you guys brought back to me, a truck making a delivery at my storage facility ran into it, and then their insurance covered the new one. And I never bothered to put it in, I donated it to the town.
So no, there was no blame because we didn't know exactly when it happened, and we didn't know it had happened for a month.
Oh,
Which is part of the reason we have extra cameras on that area now.
So if they do it again this year, they're gonna pay for it, not VLCT. That's good.
Let's hope they don't get it.
I hope not.
Sure.
Okay.
Do you know some municipalities, if you dive into their fiscal year budgets, they actually budget for the city budgets like 30 grand a year in their revenue budget for insurance claims received. It's a heck of a way to balance it.
How do you know this?
You gotta do research.
I guess maybe.
Do you have anything else to do besides dig into the city, or?
No, not really. Apparently not.
I'll tell you what he is good at. Okay, let's move forward. Any more questions? No? Good? Okay.
Yeah, back in 1984, no.
Right, okay, moving on. Minutes. In your packet, you have the minutes of October 26th and the minutes from the October 17th meeting. Anybody want to make a motion to approve those minutes?
I make that motion.
Anybody want a second?
Second.
Okay.
Jack and Brian.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public comment. Anybody here want to make a public comment? Okay, hearing none, we're gonna move right along. Okay, next we have the Ridgeview Drive requests for public road acceptance. It was in your packet, we got a drawing. Seems like Jack worked on it with, Dave, did you get a chance to go and look at it?
He did as well.
No concerns or anything?
Good.
If we work on some of the shoulders a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I saw that in the meeting, minutes, so.
And there's 2 people here from the HOA. Frank is a well-paid president of the HOA.
Oh, yes, thank you.
And one of his neighbors.
And Paul.
And Paul.
I'll make it simple.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept Ridgeview Ave as a town road.
I'll second that.
And just friendly, I think it's a drive, right?
Drive.
Ridgeview Drive.
Yeah, okay.
Avenue on-
In the minutes, please.
So Google Maps says it's not.
Okay, thank you.
Just looking at the survey.
Nope, I get it.
Sorry.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I missed who seconded that.
Me?
Jack.
Jack.
Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Colonna, you didn't oppose it, did you?
No, I don't think so.
So I'll make sure.
Okay.
So it passed and seconded, that's it. We will meet with you to do the rest, this
Tomorrow?
week. Yes, tomorrow would
What are you doing
probably,
after this?
tomorrow after.
I can stay until this meeting is done.
Yeah, that's really great. No, tomorrow after 11, because
Anybody here
I
a notary?
need a witness.
Okay, tomorrow after 11 I'll be down.
Sounds like the plan.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all. I mean, it was a long process, but I would like to thank Carrie and Emily and the other town people that we've worked with, because they've been extremely helpful in guidance that we needed for, how to make this all how to make this all happen. There were multiple steps that we need to do. And because Carrie is really, really good at communicating, each step we would validate where we were so that we would not get caught up with some kind of a surprise. It's not an easy process. I don't know how other developments are doing, but there are multiple steps that have to be taken, and you get to one, and if the timing's not right for the next one, you have to hold off because you're asking 10 people, because there's 10 of us in there, to forward money for something that is like, okay, we hope and plan on it happening, but if something doesn't, people are really trusting us and then trusting the town in order to get this done. So it is something that you may want to look at if there's possibilities not to have it be so hectic and so convoluted in how to get there. I mean, the steps sound easy, but it's knowing that you needed to get there that was difficult to start with. None of us knew. I mean, all of a sudden we were at, road is kind of where it's at. What do we need to do? It was great asking Carrie for what do we needed to do, but it would have been nice to know that we needed to be there sooner, so that it wasn't such a financial hardship for us the last couple of years, I guess.
Okay.
There you go.
Perfect. Good info.
So I will add, we do appreciate the town's financial assistance also.
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay. And thank you, Carrie, for assisting.
It was a team effort for sure. Emily helped a lot, but
How many have we done, Care, of the last couple of years? It's been 2 or 3?
this might be the fourth
Fourth
one.
one? Yep.
Please feel free to pick up your copy of the mailbox replacement policy and hand the door. You might need it this winter.
Thank you.
That's a joke.
That's comforting.
1-800-CALL Dave. That's gonna be our new saying.
Yeah. But we have done a few. It's about 1,100 feet of road, so it does starts to add up a little bit. We were accommodating. All right, so the next town manager. We good?
Yeah, you're up.
All right. First item is introducing Dave. I know you've met him informally, but Dave Allerton, if you could come to the hot seat
Oh, the
more or
hot
less.
seat.
Hot seats.
Lucky you.
Yes, I don't think it'll be too bad today.
Yeah.
So Dave Allerton comes to us with a pretty extensive experience at DPW, but most recently for the town of Milton. And previous to that, Burlington, DPW or PW, and started on the 24th, so we're pretty excited that he's here. He's still catching up. John and Corey, John Montaigne has helped tremendously, and Corey Gratner Foreman helped to try to educate you, but there's a lot of stuff going on here.
Yes, there is a lot of stuff.
And he's gonna
going
go
on.
over what he's gonna give us a short version.
So, yeah, today is the beginning of my 3rd week here, so, yeah, I've been trying to get up to speed on a lot of things, and there's a lot of projects, and I find new ones every day. Even today, there's 2 new ones popped up. But anyway, it's all good stuff. And I've been meeting with the team, been having some good conversations with everybody, trying to make sure I'm getting off on the right foot with everybody, and we're all starting to work together. So the guys been getting the plow trucks ready to go, been working on some culverts and some ditching and a lot of tree trimming. It's a good time to trim trees right now. Some of the projects that I'm starting to get involved with, just wanted to go over some, and I can update you on some of them if you don't mind here. So the health path one, I don't know a whole lot about that right now, but I've got some of the documentation, starting to read through that, and I'll get involved in those meetings on how we can advance that project. V-Trans is getting that exit 19 Route 104 project going again. So they've got a consultant on board that's setting up some initial meetings. So we're gonna start being involved in those and see what we can.
So let me just stop while we're talking about that. So that's the 4-way intersection from like SB Jolly and then.
Yep,
Maple
right
Fair
off exit
Complex.
19.
So And I don't, you know that there was that crosswalk that was talked about from like Jolly to the Collins Pearly, now is that gonna be incorporated in this, or should this be brought up,
I
or?
think that's
It
separate,
should be,
right?
It was separate because it was farther down, they don't want anything that close to an intersection, they actually discourage that.
I realize that,
Oh.
but since the intersection is so close to where the crosswalk is gonna be, it's
Oh,
still a
yeah.
state highway, do
Yep.
they wanna like,
We can mention
it should
it,
all be,
I'm
you
sure
know,
it
just
will be
one
discussed.
project, right?
Yeah, it'll be
Right.
Right
discussed.
there.
it might
Right.
be helpful to loop in like Mark and Tim at the complex and try to get them to make those concerns, because when they came to us, they said it's student safety, like these kids are
Right.
gonna run across the road whether there's lines or not. And, I
We do.
mean, somebody's gonna get hit, like it might take 20 years, but someone's kid's gonna get hit, so. I think that's a good point to bring up, if you can voice that in the
Sure.
meetings, or
Yeah.
maybe even pull Mark Deso and Tim Beans in on it.
Yeah, to know where the kids are crossing too.
No, they're going
Like
over-
saying if you, no, I know where they're going, but I mean, put a crosswalk in it doesn't mean they might not use
Up higher.
100 yards down the way anyway.
Yeah.
You know, just.
But just something to look at,
Practical.
that quote, you know?
Yep, and once we start entering those discussions, we'll certainly come back in here and keep everybody up to date.
I mean, that'd be a big one if we can get that done.
I know
It's
it.
been talked about for
Many
how long?
years.
If we can just get to
Since they put
those,
the road in, probably.
we can get to the other side of the sash too. then we'll be-
Mhm. Yeah, well, I think that's what we're talking about, right?
Yes, it
From
is.
essentially the complex side to the Grace Brook side.
Yep.
I mean, near the main intersection.
Oh, I'm talking
Yep.
with the complex one, I was talking about getting from
Yeah, I know,
the complex
complex to
over to
Jolly.
La
And
Quinta.
it,
Yeah.
yeah, it all ties together.
Yeah, there's gotta be some pedestrian infrastructure up there,
Yep.
whether it ties into some existing network at the complex and then shoots off or whatever it is. Like, just somebody's gonna get hurt. You know, just hopefully they aren't aiming it after somebody when they build it finally.
Okay, so just moving on, the next one I had was the Clyde Allen Stormwater. Carrie sent me a copy of a grant that we just got for $360,000, so I don't know how it's all gonna work yet, but I will submit the paperwork to be the municipal project manager on that one, so. I've done
Now,
that on
what are we
some-
doing there?
It's a stormwater project. And at this point, that's about all I can tell
I
you.
thought it was a gravel wetland.
Yeah.
There's a lot of water that comes through there and floods everything downstream, so just trying to slow it down everywhere we can.
They just put millions in the interstate to do that.
Also, that's not, this isn't a one-off, there's many of them, many of those type of projects that together will address the fluvial erosion. But you're right, they did that, that's what 19 is about.
We put bigger culverts in there like 12 or 13 years ago, right?
At Clyde Allen Drive, yes, and they actually are the same size inlet and outlet, right?
The next project is the Bay Park water supply. So a well was drilled at some point in the past, and the state has now provided approval to test the well. So it's got to have a 36-hour pumping test, and then you do all the water quality testing. So Ruggiano Engineering has been, I guess, kind of shepherding this through so far. But at this point, I asked them to provide us a proposal for the pumping test, and so we know what the costs are going to be to get this source approved, because you can't hook it up unless it gets source approval through the state. And it's my understanding we've already purchased a tank, or we got a tank out there and run a water line or something, but we don't even know if that source is going to be viable yet. So once we get through the source testing, get it approved, then we'll know what the next steps are. So I've only asked them to give us a proposal for setting up and monitoring the pumping test, because we've got 9 wells within a 500-foot, what we call source protection area, essentially 500-foot radius of this well that we're going to have to monitor for interference while we're doing the pumping test. So we don't know how that's going to go. We'll find out, though.
Sounds like money.
It is going to be money. And once I know what that proposal amount is, we'll come and we'll talk about it. There's the monitoring wells at the old DPW garage. Yes, Carrie's got KAS on board to properly abandon those, fill them with grout. And that work is going to be happening probably in the next few weeks, certainly before winter time comes. so we get that one behind us. It's always nice to get a project behind us, right?
Especially that one, people assumed it was a lot worse over
Can
there.
I just interrupt real quick? So those wells are no longer gonna be used over there?
It's the monitoring wells for the contamination.
Right.
Correct, they said we could shut them down.
Oh, okay,
Moving on.
fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah, that should be exclamation point next to that, it's good
No,
news.
that's like a generational question answered,
Mhm,
literally.
it is.
Good news, I guess.
I did ask EIV Technical Services to come in. They were hired by Kerry to take over the stormwater efforts since Emily had left. So I'll just try to get on board with what their scope of work is and where they're at with things. And I'll still be working with them to kind of set some milestones to make sure we're all on track with that project. So at least that's the goal. The decentralized sewer system in the Bay Village area. I don't know much about this one just yet. I think you got Hoyle Tanner on board that's gonna be assisting with this effort, so I just need to contact them and get in touch with them and see where they're at and then move forward with that. The other one, North Sewer Pump Station upgrade, that one's been completed. We're still waiting for the cover to go on the pit out there. Once we get that in, then we'll get the final invoice and we'll be able to wrap all that up. And that'll be done. And then I'll put a letter and we'll mail that to all the users out there saying that they're gonna be responsible for the bill.
They know it.
Yes. And that's what I've been told.
Yeah.
So they know it's coming, so. And it's gonna be right about at the same budget that you guys have put in. So I think we got about 94,000 into it right now, and their, Dave Crawford is estimating another $6,000 for this cover.
As we said, 100,000.
We said, yeah, 99
Yeah.
and change, so we're not gonna be over, but we're not gonna, and not a lot under, on budget.
So there's a lot of other projects going on. You know, John, working on all the events and getting the Bay Area set up for Christmas. They're just starting those discussions, and a lot of culverts. I found some files that Emily had made talking about some culverts that needed work on, so I'm gonna review those. And I'll talk to Corey about those, and we'll have a long list of work for next summer, you know, once we're ready to start digging and start going. So,
And one of the projects I think that I'm looking forward to is he's making a winter operations plan,
Yeah.
so to explain in more detail the way we operate our winter maintenance, like plowing, for instance, so.
just wanna make sure everybody's got an understanding of what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do it, when we're gonna do it, like that. And that kind of plan or guideline is what it really is we would come in, once we have a draft written, we'll bring it in to you guys to discuss it before we approve it and actually move forward with it, so.
But winter's coming,
Winter is coming.
it's
Doesn't
starting to
feel like
feel
it.
like it,
Tomorrow.
tomorrow it'll feel like it.
I was gonna say too, the weekly reports we've got the last couple of weeks, I mean,
Super
very
good.
Those are
detailed,
good.
Okay, good.
Really
see
appreciate
exactly
it.
what's going on and
Perfect.
and everything, it's great.
At one time, we had to institute quarterly reports just to make sure we had some kind of an idea of what was going on a quarterly basis, and to get your reports on a weekly basis through Carrie, and my favorite read of the week on that particular
Okay,
email
well,
address.
perfect, because that's just my standard operating procedure, my own personal one, and, you know, John and Corey have jumped on board, so we're good with that, so.
It's good for communication. I mean,
Yep.
it's just great to see stuff you're working on trees on this road and
Yes.
just kind of following along, so.
Yep.
Found some way you just said in here, but.
And if you
That's
get a
great, thank
question on something?
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Right,
it's
at
good.
least we know what's going on.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's the key.
Like if you come to us and say you need some kind of a man lift to cut trees with, and we're seeing that you cut trees almost every week, then all of a sudden Jack looks like he's right up the right alley. So, somebody advocated for getting a town-owned man lift versus renting one all the time. 2 cut trees, and the last 2 reports from Dave every week have included tree cutting, so
Yep,
it's nice to see conversations correspond with action, you know, it's nice.
good,
All right, I guess
That
we're
was
good
it?
then, yeah, well, that's it.
okay.
You were
Thank you so
grilled
much.
enough, I guess, for one
Okay.
thing.
Thank you, Dave.
Yep, you're welcome.
Next item is just an overview of the town hall, the new town hall, I guess I should say. So the first item, budget, we usually have Natty here at the second meeting of every month, so I didn't include one in today's, packet, but the second item, I guess more importantly, is move-in schedule. We do have signs up at town hall, because right now we're anticipating moving to the new town hall the week after Thanksgiving. So, a couple days before Thanksgiving, we're gonna start packing the last few things up. The movers are coming here on Monday. We're gonna have a meeting with, the staff next week just to number every section, label everything that we can, so hopefully we don't lose anything at all. So it's pretty exciting. We have an inspection from the Division of Fire Safety next week. It's our last big hurdle. Everything else seems to be going pretty well. So, are there any questions?
So
No?
this water test they did,
Yes, and those
they
were good,
came
right?
back, I mean, that was with the RO running?
It was, yep, came back good. The plumbing inspector has inspected, said everything looks good. I forget her name, Ann, maybe? She just wanted a couple different signs put on the private restrooms, so we ordered those are coming in Monday. So some of the signs we're putting up with our logos on them have been ordered, so it's starting to feel like a real home. We ordered paper supplies for it. So what it means to the public is the week of 11/28 to 12/2, the town hall will be closed, the old one and the new one, because we're moving our server over there, we're moving our land records there, and all the planning, zoning files and all that. So, we're gonna send an email out to area lawyers, just so they don't come in requesting their CO in 24 hours, because we won't be able to provide that, at least for 1 week. So we expect to be here, for our first meeting in December. Let's hope everything goes.
What do you mean, in this building?
No, sorry, I said here at the new town hall.
Gotcha,
A new town hall, Monday, 12/5 should be our first day,
okay.
open to the public there.
So we come in and have to sit on the floor.
If you come in here, you will be sitting on the floor,
Yeah.
because these are going into one of the meeting rooms off the lobby, with the new chairs,
Is
so.
there anything, Carrie, you can foresee where it would delay that? I mean, it's pretty set. We got, the movers are definitely coming, agreement's coming.
The Division of Fire Safety Inspection is always a bit of a wild card. We have been working with them periodically, and they've been there every step of the way, but I wouldn't be telling you the truth if I told you that was a slam dunk. It's not. We really need their approval, but everything else is, we've done everything they asked. We did everything out, including all that vault, extra work in the vault, because they wanted it there, and we did it, so.
Yeah, that's a formality at this point, hopefully.
I hope that's the case. He thought he wouldn't even be here an hour, so to me, that means he's just gonna make sure we did what we said we were gonna do, and we did, so.
In the last, bill we just paid for DEW,
Yes.
is that it?
It's probably not it, because right now they're still finalizing, working with some subs, but we are down to the last few
Close.
change orders. There's hardly any, and, all of the big, there aren't any surprises at this point. Our surprises, we've already talked about it, like
Yeah, with,
soil, water.
yeah, and so we're, it was that same question, but, so we're gonna be at
Um,
budget or below?
We're hoping to come in at budget. I don't know that we'll come in a lot below, but what we used for some of these surprises was our contingency fund.
Mhm.
Well, it's pretty good that you set a number and 2 years later you're meeting
Yeah.
it when you're talking
Yeah.
probably in the construction industry, 15 to 20% inflation.
It was a scary
Pretty
ride.
nuts.
Yeah.
I've never been asked the same question over and over again, like I've been asked. Have you guys straightened out that water yet down there, and when you're
Mhm.
moving into that building?
Mhm.
So let me tell you, I'm looking forward to making a few texts after this meeting. It's straightened out.
So the way, and to be fair, for people that haven't been following us every single time, which I don't know why they don't, it's shocking, it's so exciting. We finally, the way we resolved the water was by doing a reverse osmosis system, and then just treating the water in the water room, and having 2 storage tanks to maintain a little bit more capacity should we have like a really big meeting in that meeting room, so.
It's pretty common ROs and
It-
drinking water,
it
pretty
is-
common compared to what you would think when you see that as on a list of proposals to fix something.
It's
It
true.
looks scary, I mean, you talk to like a Chevalier, and then it's, oh, we just put one in Bayside a couple months ago, we
That
put
was
one
ours.
over here, yeah, I know.
It
That's
was
where-
ours, yeah.
Yeah,
You're right, though, they don't even blink, they're like, "Ah, we know how to do this, we do it all the time."
yeah,
Yep,
Yeah.
so it's good.
pretty cool.
We're gonna have the building cleaned, professionally cleaned a week before we move in and then the week after. So, yeah, stop by.
Gonna do a ribbon cutting?
We will do that. As soon as we get the kinks out and, everything's operating, we absolutely will schedule that.
Well, like I said, it would've been great to be on time
Mm-hmm.
and at budget or under, but we're at budget or under, and we're a little late. It's probably better than being
Mhm.
on time and being way over budget, so
Mm.
preferable
If we
anyway.
do that ribbon cutting, we'll have to loop the public works facility in there too.
We're busy cleaning right now, but yes.
I think you're gonna find, as with any new thing, there's probably gonna be some hiccups once
Mhm.
you get started.
Big building, somebody's gonna get lost in there.
It's true, it's pretty exciting. So that leads us to the other thing under town hall, which is this building. You know, we should be, the movers are moving everything we're going to repurpose, then we're gonna be left with a few things here. Some of which are garbage, which is why we have a recycling bin and a dumpster outside, but, you wanna heat this building when we vacate it. And so I did put this in the packet, what we generally spend is about $6,000 to $7,000 a year heating it when it's occupied, obviously that's gonna be lower. Just put it at 50 or something, 55.
At least we'll use less.
So I
We
had
should
a,
use less.
I was glad to see this on the agenda because the day before the agenda came out, I had a really informal discussion with someone who may or may not make a proposal on behalf of a local nonprofit, to see if we might be interested in using this as or allowing the nonprofit to use this building as a warming shelter or like a bed space for people experiencing homelessness, basically for the winter months. And then they said that the most common arrangement is that they can pay for some utilities, but the most common is that they pay for security and professional cleaning services for every day, and then security whenever they're accepting people in. But the nonprofit expressed some disappointment with their current host municipality, and they're looking for some help. So that may or may not be coming. Just if you see it, don't be totally shocked by it. Maybe start thinking about whether or not you think it's a good idea.
Well, it may be, but I've actually had interest from someone who's talking about maybe a daycare. I had interest from someone who recently flipped a couple of houses in town. And I guess those are the most recent ones, but, so it was interesting to me.
Yeah.
Daycare,
Yeah.
we
Even
have
though-
recreation nearby, you know, it's, I don't know. Anyway, so a couple people are coming this week to look at it,
Oh, cool.
yeah. So, question, I mean, you don't have to answer it tonight, but what do you think about heating it then for the winter?
As long as there's a daycare in it and I can get a spot for my son, that'd be cool.
I don't think that's the question she asked.
No, I understand.
I mean, I think we talked last time, right, about whatever the minimum amount of heat we need for it, you know, to make sure nothing freezes. We know pipes are gonna be on the outside, right?
Yeah.
And so you can't just set it at 33 and forget it, right? So, I mean, I don't know what the answer is on that, but that's kind of the answer, isn't it? Whatever that is.
I'm not gonna, I can put my professional opinion on it, but I'm not, I don't,
What is
you know.
that?
I would say leave it at 60, it's an old building, I don't, you know, run it, cause with nobody being here, you don't know what, you know, that changed your heat load.
But couldn't you hire somebody to come in and winterize it?
You could, like,
Mhm.
so I don't know.
For way less than $6,000,
You
right?
probably could, but does it deteriorate anything in the building by doing, like, that's the only question I have.
Well, like sheetrock and Luan, it doesn't like the extra moisture when it comes out of that spring cycle.
So I don't know who we contact for that, do you, like,
Don't you winterize the clubhouse at the golf course?
I just do what they ask of me, whatever they tell me to do, I do it. That place is, no, anyway, we'll leave it at that. But,
Okay.
So I don't
We
know
can
if
ask.
you reach
I
out to
don't
like
include
a,
it, but yeah,
I don't know if you reach out to like, Alliance Mechanical who did the town hall and ask their opinion, what they think. You know, it's who did the new town hall, call down there and talk to one of their project managers or something, and see what their opinion is. They
I
have,
might call someone in historic preservation
or,
though,
there you go.
because I feel like heating people are gonna do, they're gonna do what you tell them to do, right?
Well, people, a lot of residences are winterized and not heated. It's not an uncommon thing.
Right.
The only, if heating oil was $2, $3 a gallon, but it's gonna be 6, 7, whatever it's gonna be, it's gonna be expensive to heat this. And if there's a way that we could winterize it without degrading the building any more than it already is, then I would lean going that way. If we could use the building for something else, a daycare or a homeless shelter or something, that we would then heat it, that's fine with me. But just, I mean,
Well, that's, yeah.
You might get a proposal for like 25 beds. You might get one, so keep that on there. It'd be something that would probably move forward a little quicker. I would imagine it'd need a DRB hearing for a conditional use of some kind, but anyway.
So we're gonna have a meeting on the 21st?
To talk about the.
21st of November?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
I mean, have them,
We are gonna have one anyway,
so
yes.
coming in early.
But I thought we could do some concurrent meetings, like have
Yeah.
a section that's talking about this again, talk about with the town hall meeting this, and have the assessor's information that we previously had there to hand out. Talk to some people, and also then, 3 things, my goal was, just in case we don't get a huge turnout, talk about requesting feedback for some of that federal money, the ARPA money that we keep calling. We have some strong recommendations to have public meetings on that, so I think we should have one, put it on the agenda. And if someone can't make the meeting, they can send us their suggestions, certainly in email or snail mail.
So by the 21st, can we have an idea of like what it would cost to winterize this place maybe?
I did put that down, but yeah, hopefully in the next 2 weeks. This is the worst possible time in Vermont to try to get information because it's deer hunting season and a lot of people are not around. So I will try, even if I just get an estimate on that.
Right.
Winterizing costs and, possible downsides to leaving it cold like that.
yeah.
I mean, I know I did a family camp. We did that every single year. Short of keeping critters out of it, it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I winterize probably half a dozen, 8 camps a year.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are set up for it though. Like,
Well, I got some I pump glycol and some I just blow that line down, depends on how much stuff's in the walls.
Mm-hmm. Do you know anyone, give me an estimate?
Call Alliance.
Okay.
Call the commercial guys.
Call
They just
commercial.
have more staff, they have 100, a lot of people like New England Air, Alliance, Vermont Heat.
yeah, but if they have 100, they're trying to run on a staff of
I know,
140.
but you can,
Yeah, I hear
you
you.
can take a guy
That's
for a
fine.
day or 2 days
Yep.
and it doesn't hurt, No, Rail City ain't doing it.
Your arm when you twist it.
All right, cool, that's all I needed at this point. The next item, Al Vogel has helped me work on, so I will ask Al, Al's here, right, somewhere in the back,
Al's
being
here.
quiet, to come forward. Inclusion, diversity, equity, action, and leadership. It's an acronym that we refer to as IDEAL. It's a Vermont initiative to improve inclusion, diversity, equity, and action. So what Al's asking for is approval to be our representative and help St. Albans Town join that initiative. To grossly oversimplify all the research Al has done on this for the past month.
Put it in the 2 sentences.
Is this related to one of the things we did before, right, where you applied for a grant? Is this related
We are
to-
still trying to gather
this-
stuff to
is this
apply for a
different
grant. No, it's the same, one's local versus this is a state initiative.
Right, if we have some sort of committee for equity, inclusion, diversity, et cetera, That will make us eligible both for federal and state grants. So on that level, it's a beneficial goal. The state has, unbelievable, several different groups. VLCT, for example, has the Equity Committee, and it's working on a system to provide municipalities with the background information and then basically a roadmap of how to create a committee within the town to help make sure that we are inclusive, inviting to people of all different positions. Right. The State Ideal Committee is somewhat different in that now it's a consortium of municipalities which get together and help each other think through the issues to meet the governor's goal of having the state more equitable. I like the idea because, or the setup, because it is a use of people from different communities explaining their problems, then other people helping, but bringing it back so we have a more of a universal understanding of what we have to do to make this town, the state, more hospitable to different communities. And like I say, it opens up grant money from the community foundation, things like that.
It's all grounded in, not to sound harsh, but it's all grounded in reality. Like, it's based on what municipalities can actually do within their purview and not. It seems a lot of times when we have these discussions at a community level, it comes out to things that are a lot broader than just the scope of the town. So it seems like your effort would be more based on, okay, the municipality could meet this goal, this is.
Right, but I think what it'll do is it'll bring ideas to you that you're gonna have to address one way or the other. For example, if we're talking about zoning, is our zoning in any way preclude people of different backgrounds or ethnicities from living in our community? Working with the business community to make sure that they're working to also treat all people the same, insurance companies, things like that. So there'll be things that will be brought back to you that at least you have to discuss and think about and deal with the question that's being raised. So it's not strictly we don't have to make any changes. We're going to have to think through changes that we want to meet the various goals of the state and federal government. What we don't know is that we have already a hidden Spanish community, agricultural workers. And so they are hidden, underrepresented. They have difficulty getting medical care, things like that. We also have several people of black people living in the community that don't feel totally welcome or understood. So one Spanish and one black, have talked to me and would like to join this. If we have a committee, if I have a committee, whatever, down as a committee, would like to be part of that. So already just through grapevine, if you will, people are beginning to talk about the town addressing these issues that are becoming more apparent both in the newspapers, in the politics of our country, etc.
So this right here, Al, is to join the ideal, which is municipality driven.
Right.
And there's no, I guess I'm just trying to understand what we're doing. Exactly, just so I understand it.
So it's a state-driven initiative under the governor's office.
Okay, yep.
To invite municipalities to work in a collegial atmosphere to both help the state and each municipality to make the state more open and inclusive. And it's not only to ethnicities and racial groups, but also to the LGBTQ group of people, which we see, more contention in the area than we do with the different ethnicities.
Let me see, I was reading, so there's one part that was asking almost about, so does this group help us, trying to see in here, is saying we don't currently have a lot of, other than US Census administratively, we have very little knowledge about our Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, and people who identify as LGBTQ communities who live in St. Albans Town. Does this group help us, like, get more information about that?
Yeah, looking for, going to the, I know there's some people from Abenaki heritage living here. Interestingly, the museum now makes a declaration, we're on your land. And so they're trying to encourage more understanding and history, learning and history of the Abenaki nation prior to the white people arriving. Yeah.
Okay.
So what are we supposed to do?
We're looking for,
Looking for a motion to basically to agree that the town wants to participate in this ideal program. And then you can authorize me or any select board member or any other member of the community who wishes to represent the town in this group. I would say you need an official, municipal official, whether it's select board or appointed, but to carry that message back and forth between the governance of the community.
Anybody want to make a motion to join the initiative and appoint Al Vogel as a town representative?
I have a question, like, so, is there funds tied to whether or not you're part of this group?
No, I mean,
Like, would it limit our access to government grants if we weren't part of it?
I'm not positive on answering your question. I think there's some qualifications with ARPA, some parts of it.
there are some, but I don't,
But on the other side of your coin, to state and those things, no, it opens up opportunities like for the Vermont Community Foundation, which has $10,000 grants to municipalities to help with this process. And there might be another state grant, but it doesn't preclude us, whether we're part or not a part of the ideal, all other grants. It's just two that I'm aware of that opens the door to those. Is that right? Answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just wondering if it was like tied to ARPA funds or something directly that.
it's not directly tied, no.
You just have to have a public meeting though, as I recall.
We have to have some public meetings,
Yeah.
yes, but it doesn't, to me, it's not, it doesn't affect whether or not we join this
No,
initiative at all.
no, not this particular initiative, no.
And the ideal group that the initiative is made up of just townspeople, or who's
State and town representatives.
just represented as a group of
Right,
folks?
meeting periodically. I do know Fairfax has joined already in part of it. I think the city is too. I'm not positive on the city, but I know Fairfax for sure.
Do they have a website or anything that we can
Yeah,
read?
I'd love to get more information.
I'd like to
I guess,
know
be
more
honest
about
with
their
you.
background, I think, myself. I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing, I just don't know the group, I don't.
Mhm.
So you would be attending what, monthly probably meetings?
Actually, I don't know. I've been waiting to know whether or not it can do anything.
Support.
So you're
Yeah.
basically gonna go, I'd have to know more, but it sounds to me like you'd be attending a meeting with other municipal officials from around the state. There might be an agenda led by Susanna Davis,
Right.
and then there's probably a Q&A back and forth, and some ongoing, and then new business that'll be discussed, and then you'll take that info back,
Do you?
relay it to Carrie and us, however appropriate, and then we
Mhm.
decide whether or not we wanna move forward with any particular initiative, or, like, you could, the worst that'll come of it is you'll come to us with an idea.
Right.
You do that already, come to us
Yeah.
with ideas.
It's
I give
true.
those to the towns that are part
Yeah.
of that. And if you have a cell phone, you can do that.
All right, well, so do you want to look at that information?
Well, it's Al's opinion that it opens the door to grant opportunities, and the worst thing that can come of it is that Al can come to us with ideas that other municipalities have tried or are trying. Some things that the state may recommend that we haven't thought of, like, there could be little things that come out of it, there could be big proposals that we decide not to do. You know, it's just a discussion point.
Yeah, I think you have to be very careful of our image. And I think we want to send a message of being proactive. At this point in time, in our period of history, both statewide and nationally, I think we just want to have a very positive image and people looking at us in a good light.
Yeah, I love to, I mean, for me, I just love to see, like, ideas of exactly what we're doing. So if it's some, for example, you mentioned reviewing all the zoning laws to make sure that they're as fair and inclusive as possible. Absolutely.
And we just
Right,
did
and so
bylaw modernization.
things like that.
examples.
Sometimes I have a hard time wrapping my head.
But who does that?
Around all of this, you know, I've been, you know, out there listening and, like, for example, the word equity, I mean, we've brought it up before, and I've asked the question, what does that mean? What does it actually look like? Like, what does that actually mean? And there's really no answer besides people Googling it, right? So I'm always just trying to understand what that means within, you know, what with our St. Albans Town government. That's all. I'm not saying it's bad, good, I just wanna know, you know, what exactly it means.
I guess that's the point that
There
I was
are,
trying to do.
and there are, it seems that there's a lot of towns and cities that have created committees. Some, I would say, maybe haven't been all good for their perception either, the ones that have had it. So we really need to have if we were to do that, I mean, I would really want it to be exactly what it's gonna be, not just, we're gonna have an ideal committee.
No, we're not talking about opening a town committee.
No,
We're talking about sending out.
I understand, but I'll also mention that could be a byproduct of it.
Wow, it'd be a
Right.
decision that we would make.
Precisely, I'm
Which
just
has
saying.
been
if
brought
we-
to us before. and-
Exactly, I'm just
So-
saying, my point is, when we get into this, because there are a lot of
I would say,
varying, hold on one second, there are a lot of varying ideas and definitions, I just wanna be clear as to what it is we're doing, that's all.
we've got that checklist that we worked with, that spreadsheet,
Mhm.
where we weighted things and made color codes and everything else, and there are things that we perceived as low-hanging fruit. Like, if we send Al with that list, and there are things on it that come up in those meetings, like, this town did this way, and Al come back and say, okay, this is on your checklist, this is what you've already identified as a priority, this is how Winooski or Colchester or Williston did it, and it's gonna cost $5,000, but we opened the door by joining this committee to a $10,000 grant, so let's apply for that, and we're gonna check that off your list for free. Like, that's what I'm seeing it as. I'm not seeing it as Al comes to us every other month saying, they said we need a diversity committee, we need to do it, you guys have to have a vote. Like, I'm not seeing it as being a contentious piece, like it's been raised in the past. I see it more as an ability to just send Al on a mission with some bullet points that we've already worked together to come up with. You know, like, we wanted to find out if we had someone that had a hearing disability, where would we call for a sign language?
Yeah, interpreter,
Where would, you know,
different
I
language
don't know, that we,
interpreter,
you know, like, there are things like that, and Al could go and, you know, he could, every meeting he goes to, he could name a couple things on our list, these are things that we've identified as priorities, have you dealt with them yet? I don't know.
You up for this, Al?
Sure. Having worked with people with disabilities for many, many years, I understand the difficulty of having a disability in any community. First of all, just negotiating sidewalks, if you will, to finding jobs and things like that. And then if you add people of color, of different colors, of gender differences and things like that, it becomes extremely complicated. But it all boils down to me, we're all human beings. We all have the same genetic code.
Yep.
And I think it's time that we start learning more about how we differ on a very minimal scale, but have to help one another have a more enjoyable life. Things are too short. And I think I sent out an article on the coming climate change to you all. as another major issue in terms of migration. So this is all seems to start dovetailing into one thing into another that I think we have to look at into the future. When I say future, I'm talking more than 5 years of a town, 8 years of a town plan, more to, you know, in your 25 and 30 years, particularly 2050, which seems to be a major climate change thing. And so we're going to have people coming in. We want to make sure that as we grow, that we have a community that is of harmonious and working, pulling together. So yes, I am up to that. You know, the thing I regret the most, Jackie, you and I probably share that, I ain't gonna be around that much longer.
What are you saying?
And I would just hope that today's children and their grandchildren, you know, will have a wonderful life. Yeah, they're gonna have to make major changes because of the environment, but that we all pull together and survive. And that's what I find is, I can't be part of it, but at least maybe you can set put down the gravel for the road.
Still wanna wait, read
All
up on it
set.
more? Send it out to the committee? What do you wanna do?
What's everybody want to do?
I'd say as long as it's under the understanding that Al will be given a roadmap to try to work through and use this as a tool to do it, and that it's grounded in the priorities that we've already listed. And that, you know, you obviously have the ability, if there's a new priority that you see is in line with our current thinking that we just haven't thought of yet, to bring it to us.
Sure.
And I would support that effort. I'm not looking to flip over the apple cart, so to speak, as to the direction we've decided to take as a board.
So is that a motion?
It can be, so moved.
So it's information gathering,
Yep.
trying to join a group that's already collaborating
Yep.
to see
I'll also
if it
say-
can benefit
Yeah.
us inside Albans Town.
Through the planning commission, I volunteered at the VLCT level, so I'm on the state VLCT committee. And I will send you some of our working papers to give you a background on that.
That's one of the groups that makes this up, right?
Yes.
That's what it looks like on the website.
Jeff, you mean as being part of it, not?
Right.
making
So
it up?
supporters and partners, Vermont Committee Foundation, Vermont City, League of City and Towns, Vermont Declaration of Inclusion, and Abundant Sun, whatever, I don't know what.
London
I was
Sunset
just making a
Consulting
bad
Firm.
joke, Jeff.
Huh?
I was just making a bad joke.
Oh, I'm just saying who's,
Yeah, no, I get you.
who's behind it,
Yep.
so.
So was that a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Al to the state ideal committee as a town representative.
Could I can't amend it, but can I suggest that I think in the letter, it makes some comment that you as a select board are applying to Ms. Davis and the ideal, whatever it's called, to be part of that. Not me per se, but the town.
It does say, the
It does
first
say-
line, the town very
I-
much would like to be a part of this initiative.
I amend my motion to include the verbiage outlined in the document referenced by Carrie.
Okay, we got a motion, do we have a second?
Okay, I'll second it. We gotta move along here.
Any further discussion, Brian?
I don't think so. I just make sure we're not, I wanna tread down the path, intentionally. So, that's an understanding what I'm voting on exactly.
Yeah, like, I think this board is supportive of you joining, of us joining the committee for the purpose of trying to tackle goals that we've already laid out. We're not looking to do new things unless they're in line with our current thinking. And it's a means of trying to work with other municipal leaders around the state and to access funding that might otherwise be unavailable to us.
Well said, Brendan.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Didn't ask for any opposed.
I don't think nobody opposed it, did
Did
they?
you say aye?
I don't know.
Oh.
alright, what do we got next?
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks, Al.
That didn't
Thank
take
you.
long.
That's
All
just-
right.
Sorry, like I said, I just saw the letter and I didn't really understand what it was.
No
so
problem. I'm
thank
here
you
to,
for
I'm here
clearing
to
it up.
do my best to help you understand and learn.
You're just making more work, Al.
So D on my agenda talks about the personnel policy update. I just put it on there to let you know it hasn't been forgotten. We did get it back from the personnel expert, HR person at the LCT, and she suggested it go to a different department. So that's where it's at right now. It's so clunky, talk about following the breadcrumbs. But anyway, so they have it. I amended a few small things on it, but it's still in process. It's not gone, not forgotten.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, never mind.
He always does that.
He does that all the
We
time.
will
Does
get,
that
we
all
will
the
get
time.
to talk about it again in the future, but if there's
You
something.
spit it
Well,
out.
so why did you, or you're just giving us an update where the status?
Yep, we talked about it a lot, so yeah, I just put it on here so that I would let you know it's being worked on, it wasn't forgotten, she
Well, I
had it.
figured as much, I just,
I know,
You could go see Doug Corey and have some t-shirts printed of that. So, never mind.
Never mind.
so.
alright, so,
So do we have another policy update, next, do we have another one in line after this one's complete, or we're gonna wait until this one's complete? Did we talk about the next one yet, or?
To review the next one.
Yeah,
I don't think we picked the next one, did we?
We just
Or
did road acceptance and had someone say that we need to look at that process.
well, I think that's just a drawn out process, just because of what we did, because there's so many.
We said we wanted to look at every one of them, that's all.
Well, we should decide if that's the next one though, because there's still a
Did
handful.
we make a list?
Did we?
We
I don't know
had
if we
a
had a
list.
list in order, but we had a list of
Yeah,
them.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, we, I think we started somewhat in order, and then we jumped around just based on.
correct.
Yeah, kind of
If
what.
you wanna
had
open a
popped
big
up.
can of worms, private roads with unacceptable road conditions are big enough that we're gonna have to crack in the next
That-
5 to
that-
10.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about that one for sure, but, like, I don't know. I got mixed emotions on that either way.
Well, of course, but, you know, do we wanna go through the black and white of it? That's the. if you
At
look
some
at
point,
the-
we're gonna have to,
Yeah,
right?
but I mean, there was if we can get the list back or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe in our
Definitely
next
do that.
packet, we
Half
can
a
just have
dozen
a,
almost,
have a
right?
list.
You can,
Try
yeah.
to pick out the next
And
2
then
or
we can,
3
yeah,
and read
we,
them.
just so
I
we
mean,
can-
to be fair, I'm gonna bring this down to what's going on here. We are gonna be in a world of chaos for 2 to 3
Yeah, but
weeks.
that's all right.
So I
just-
hope that
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can
yeah.
get you the packet the way you always get it. I'm just
Yeah.
not gonna promise that right now.
That's all right, I just discussion.
Because to Brendan's point, one of the ones Dave and I have talked about is we wanna review the motor vehicle ordinance, which we have to add some roads to it, we have to add speed limits to those roads. And we just wanted to go over that again. That's the one, it's an ordinance you guys don't see much, but it's what the police officers use when they write a ticket. Because each road in our ordinance has a speed limit, it talks about the stop signs, it talks about parking and no parking areas. That's a really important ordinance to law enforcement. And for us, when people call and say, hey, so-and-so's, you know, speeding down my residential road every day at 5 o'clock. So, anyway, so that's one policy that we're gonna have to update before you can actually get, well, you can look at it at any time, but we know we need edits. Yeah, so we'll definitely get you the new list, or the updated list.
Cause we done a few, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's it, other than the filings, the rest of the agenda was hefty, but it wasn't anything you need to take action on. Notice of initial filings of Act 250, it was beta, which is great news, of course, and 2 Franklin Park West. The other Act 250 amendments were, as Jack alluded to before, just some minor things that are going through the process.
Same ones again.
They're going through a lot of them.
Yeah, it's just a subdivision that never went through.
Yeah.
What Peerless do?
Yeah, those are, yeah.
I don't remember, except they are they're finally getting to the point where they're finishing their process, so I don't know if they're changing anything, but like they finally got rid of that temporary parking lot and then seeded over. Megan, our zoning department went over and did a final inspection, so,
It's all done.
yeah, it's done, so I don't know.
Okay. Fair enough.
So we're on the schedule.
Okay, schedule, next meeting is November 21st and Monday, December 5th at 6:30. And then on Monday, December 5th at 5, I'm gonna
5 o'clock,
5 o'clock.
that's December 5th.
Yeah, AMCare.
Yes, there's a lot of fives in there. We're gonna start with a budget meeting and then we'll move to the regular select board meeting on the 5th. And that meeting should be at the new town hall.
New town hall.
Should doesn't sound very,
It's not very definitive,
I mean,
but
basically, we can't meet here, is what you're saying? There won't be anything here?
we will meet here if we can't meet there,
It'll
but
be,
Well,
it'll
we'll
be
meet there.
cold.
There's
It'll be
Bayside.
cold.
it's gonna be cold. We're gonna have it at 60
Bayside.
We're
already.
gonna put blankets and cuddle up on the floor.
Can act
Get
as
a
the alcohol,
salamander in
what is
here
it?
going.
Liquor control.
Liquor control.
Burn this thing to the ground.
The agenda will have the address on it, of course, we're not gonna be coy.
Make a motion to enter executive session and to invite the town manager, interim director of operations, and our 2 consultants from 44/7 Strategies. I
Correct.
said interim director
Yeah.
of operations.
Oh, never mind.
Don't you need to read that motion? Didn't you discuss that at the
Yeah, I
last
can-
meeting?
Yeah.
We
you
do
read
need
the
to
whole
do it.
thing, yeah.
Yes, please.
Thank
gotta
you.
do it just right.
Thanks, Jen.
You read it so much.
Want me to read it?
Go ahead, please.
Brendan made a motion to go into executive session to discuss contractual and a personnel matter where premature general public knowledge of the subject matter would place the town at a substantial disadvantage. It is further moved to enter into executive session to discuss a contractual and personnel matter under the provisions of Title I, Section 313, subsections A1 of the Vermont statutes, and to invite the town manager, Albans Town, the interim director of operations, and our consultants for the executive manager search from 44/7.
That's right.
So moved, or am I seconding?
No, he moved it.
I moved it.
You second it.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Okay.
I moved.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you for
Jen.
playing nice.
Thank you.